Thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Basketball Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. I am your host, Nelson, here on this very fantastic Wednesday afternoon. And we have a little bit of basketball news to share. Most of the news is probably, at least for me, I think it's going to be all about, Team USA. They are playing a game right now as we speak. I remember, if you guys remember previously from the other podcasts that I did, I had no idea that the game was actually going on, which is kind of embarrassing. And I didn't really watch a majority of the game, but I have the game playing in the background right now. You guys, unfortunately, you're unable to see it, and you won't be able to see it, but it's on FS1 if you are interested in watching the game yourself, but I'm just going to give my opinions on it. The first quarter just ended, so I'm going to talk a little bit about that in the first segment. Then in the second segment, I'm going to talk about Kyrie Irving having surgery recently, so I'm just going to talk a little bit about that and just my opinions on that, what it could mean for the season, and exactly what it means, like I think it means, and I think it's actually the reason why he was left off of the team. But aside from that, we can go into the third segment where we talk about Kawhi Leonard and on if the Clippers should trade him, and just my opinions on that. And then in the fourth segment, we have some more basketball news. I'm going to group all of it up because I can't just spend one segment talking about it. We also have a special fifth segment at the end, and if you see me looking off to the side, it's because I'm watching the game going on. So because it just started the next quarter. So without further ado, before I begin, I'd like to remind everybody to please go ahead, use the link in the description to get your comments recognized, or the link displayed below the ticker on every show segment. It is gsmcpodcast.net. Really helps the show, makes it much more interactive between myself and you guys. And without further ado, I just really want to go ahead and talk about this game because it's a very, very close game. So Team USA, they go up against Serbia. And, this is obviously Nikola Jokic's team. Look at that. All right, so what just happened was Joel Embiid tried drawing a foul, and he flopped, and he fell on the ground. And guess what? The refs didn't call it. Shocker. But, essentially, this game is really close. It's 28-28 right now. And a lot of the players on Team USA, they aren't really playing that well. Serbia is really playing very well against Team USA. Like, they're dogging it out against this team. And, there's also a lot of... There's a bit of a rivalry between Jokic and Joel Embiid. One of the biggest complaints that I actually have with Joel Embiid is the fact that he only plays Jokic when he's in Philly. He never plays Jokic when he's in Denver for whatever reason. I don't know why, but he just never does. But this is like, the first time in a while that I've actually seen them play where Joel Embiid doesn't have home court advantage. And, it's really something to see. I mean, it's not like Joel Embiid is playing well. No surprise there. He's 1 for 4 from the field, and he only has 2 points. And the only point he got was a layup, which, actually, no, it wasn't a layup. It was a mid-range that he shot over Jokic. But aside from that, he's been playing horribly for Team USA. And it's gross. Like, literally mid-play. You can't make it up. He tried going for a foul, and the ref didn't call it. Like, the ref was looking at it, like, right in front of him, and he didn't call it because Joel flopped. Like, what else is new? So, but aside from that, Team USA is, like, really... One of the biggest problems for Team USA has been turnovers. Like, they just got one right now. I don't know why. Drew Holiday was wide open under the basket for a layup, and he just decided to pass the ball for whatever reason. I don't know why. But one of the biggest problems... as Serbia hits another three, changing the lead to 6. So USA is down by 6 points right now. Serbia went on a 8-0 scoring run. That's great. But, one of the biggest problems for Team USA has been, and one for LeBron, has been turnovers. Like, the turnovers in Team USA, there been a lot. Like, I'm pretty sure in the last game they had, like, well over 20 turnovers. Something like that. They had a lot of turnovers in the last game against Australia, and that was one of the biggest reasons why the team was able to win the game in the end. But, I thank the Lord that we have LeBron James on the team. He is putting up a clinic right now. He just got an and one, and hopefully he's going to make the free throw. But, the rest of the lineup for Team USA, it's a little bit stagnant. I feel like they're still trying to figure out, how to play well with each other and how to share the ball. Curry actually started out really hot in this game. He made like 2 straight 3-pointers, and he has like 7 points, I believe. But really, the Serbian team, surprisingly, is playing some really good team basketball. And you could argue that it's because, Jokic is on the team, and there's a bit of a pass-first mentality coming in from Jokic. But a lot of the players are playing pretty solid. And Jokic is actually, he's not playing very well either. Being considered the best player on Serbia, he's 2 for 8 from the field, and he's not really playing, as well as you'd expect Jokic to play. He is a triple-double machine, but everyone else on the team is playing pretty solid. I mean, the starters, aside from Jokic, have only missed 2 shots. Like, they have Filip Petrusev. You probably have no idea who he is if you just watch the NBA. He's 2 for 2. And Dobrik, he is 1 for 3. He's the only guy other than Jokic that has missed a shot in the starting lineup, aside from right now where they missed another shot. But Narko Guduric, he is 2 for 2. And Alexa Avramovic, again, forgive me if I completely botch these names, he's 3 for 3 from the field. So Serbia is getting a lot of, help from the supporting cast. Whereas, Team USA, they're somewhat struggling. Like, a lot of the players aren't really playing as well as you'd expect them to. But then again, the game is still early. And, hold on. Okay, Serbia missed a 3-pointer. And Joel Embiid gets the rebound. But, this is a very, very good game. And I kind of wish that I could, show Joel Embiid just threw the ball to nobody. Please, sub him out. Please. But no, it's really infuriating just watching Joel Embiid play on this team. I don't know, it's like the Monstars from Space Jam just came out of nowhere and just stole his talent. I don't know what it is, but he's playing really, really bad. And ironically, when Anthony Davis got put into the starting lineup, Team USA was putting up a little bit more of a fight. Same with Bam Adebayo. They put Bam Adebayo and Anthony Davis in the same lineup for some reason. I don't know let me know in the comments what you guys think of that, having 2 big men in the starting lineup. Bam was actually, sitting in the corner because, the 3-point line is much shorter and, it's a lot easier to shoot 3-pointers with the FIBA rules because the court is a little bit smaller and thus making the 3-point line a little bit closer to the basket. So what is usually a much farther shot for Bam Adebayo, if he were to shoot it in the NBA, is actually a little bit closer. So let me know what you guys think of this. Do you guys think he should be a spot up in the 3? Do you think you'd rather see him, in a small ball lineup like with Draymond Green, where he's handling the paint defense inside? Or would you rather, have him paired up with Anthony Davis? Me personally, I value spacing on the basketball court a lot more than I would value anything else. I think that's arguably the most important thing because having the spacing it ultimately makes your life so much easier because other players can focus on scoring solely layups, and if you can't get a layup, then you can get a wide open 3. So it's it's one or the other, and you don't have to force these players into taking difficult mid-range shots. That's just, my opinion on this. And with the way that this game has gone, over the last few years, the Olympics have always, destroyed Serbia in the Olympics. I remember in 2016, I believe, the United States, they won 96-66, I think, something like that. It was a very huge difference in score. And it's a little bit it really shows just how the game has sort of advanced and how the overall talent of basketball players, the talent is catching up to it's compared to the NBA. And also, the next game that Team USA is going to play is on Saturday against South Sudan. And I should also, that actually brings up another topic, the group phases in the Olympics. I finally figured them out. Now, let me just go ahead and find the picture. Hold on just one second. Here we go. So, in Group A, Australia, Greece, Canada, and Spain are in the group. In Group B, France, Germany, Japan, and Brazil are in the same group. And in Group C, the United States, Serbia, South Sudan, and Puerto Rico are in the group. So, obviously for the United States, the only real, competition in the Group C is Serbia right now because they are just whooping feet. They're playing really good basketball right now. And a little bit of a sleeper contender, in my opinion, is Puerto Rico with Jose Alvarado. He's playing really well for Puerto Rico, so Joel Embiid's still in that starting lineup, and it really gets me annoyed because I would rather he's not in the starting lineup. But that's just me. Again, if you guys have watched USA play before, and if you guys have watched the game, okay, thank you. Joel Embiid actually did something pretty well. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about Joel Embiid in the starting lineup. Would you rather somebody else get put in the starting lineup, or would you rather, just keep Joel Embiid in the starting lineup? Oh, wait, Joel Embiid didn't make the layup. He missed. Oops, my bad. I thought he did something good, but he finally got fouled, and now he's at the free throw line. This is his specialty. This is where he lives. This is where he gets most of the points. Majority of his points actually come from the line. If you look at it, he gets a lot of free throw points. But aside from that, aside from the dislike, I'm really excited to see how Derek White is going to improve this team when he comes off the bench. And I'm also excited to see Kevin Durant in the starting lineup as well. One of the things that I completely forgot to mention was how the starting lineup changed. So instead of Anthony Edwards being in the starting lineup like I expected him to be, it was Drew Holiday in the starting lineup. Now, I think these starting lineups are in response to... I genuinely feel like these starting lineups are in response to the lineups that the opposing team is running, as opposed to just, oh my God, he almost got another turnover. But aside from that, that's really been a big problem for Team USA and the turnovers. And Serbia is playing at a very quick pace, I will say. They're moving the ball really fast. They're getting the ball down the court really quickly. And for Jokic, he's not playing right now, but Jokic really pushed the ball down the court once he got the rebound, and he saw a teammate down there, and so he decided to push the ball down the court. So aside from that, that's really all I have. That's all I really could talk about in this first segment. I'm going to keep talking about the game as I go on. Maybe if I finish a segment and then I go into another segment, I'll talk about, I'll do a halftime report and just, give my opinions on how the game's been going and what I think should change, what I think shouldn't change. But right now, the score is 36-35 with 5 minutes and 41 seconds left in the second quarter. So in the next segment, I'm going to talk about Kyrie Irving and his surgery on his hand a little bit. And depending on, when I end, I'll give a halftime report either in the third segment, or I'll continue with my third segment talking about Kawhi being traded, Curry with a 3, and now Team USA finally has the lead, 38-36. But I'll be right back after this short break, so be sure to stay tuned.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip, you choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift. Oh.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
And we are back with the second segment of the GSMC Basketball Podcast, presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Again, if you see me looking off to the right, that means that I'm, watching the game. And, it looks like Derek White's going to get subbed in. Oh, look at that. Well, aside from that, this second segment is going to be talking about Kyrie Irving and recently undergoing surgery on his, I believe it was his left hand. Yeah, his left hand. But yeah, Derek White is actually getting subbed in. Steph Curry tonight, he has 18 points. I might add. He's been shooting very well. But anyways, we'll go into the second segment. Before I begin, I'd like to remind everybody to please go ahead, use the link in the description to get your comments recognized, or the link displayed below the ticker on every show segment. That is gsmcpodcast.net. Really helps the show. Makes it much more interactive between myself and you guys. Once again, the link is gsmcpodcast.net. And without further ado, let's go right ahead and go into this second segment talking about Kyrie Irving and undergoing surgery on his left hand. Anthony Edwards hits a three, scores 47-40 United States. Great job. Finally, Team USA is playing USA basketball. You love to see it, but they just went through a timeout, so I'll use the time to talk about Kyrie and his broken hand. So, Kyrie, for last month, or at least earlier this month, he had suffered a broken left hand when he was training, right? And the club announced this on Tuesday. So, but I have a feeling that, his broken hand was a thing for a while, right? And there's no timetable for the 32-year-old's return, according to this article. But an ESPN reported the Mavericks are optimistic Kyrie Irving will be ready for the start of training camp in a couple of months. Now, the 8-time All-Star teamed with Luka Doncic to key Dallas's run in the NBA Finals, where the Mavericks lost to the Boston Celtics in 5 games last month. Obviously, Kyrie did not play well in the finals, but he played very well overall in the playoffs, averaging 22 points and 5 assists in 22 playoff games after putting up 25 points and 5 assists during the regular season. He was seeking his second NBA championship and his first NBA championship without LeBron James, but unfortunately, that wasn't the case. That didn't happen, and, partly, the biggest reason why it didn't happen, unfortunately, was because of his play. Like, he didn't show up in the finals when he used to show up a lot in the finals when he was playing with LeBron. Like, I remember he dropped 40-plus points at the same time LeBron dropped 40-plus points in, I believe it was Game 5 of the postseason, where in 2016. And not to mention, he also had a dominant performance in 2017, despite the fact that the Cavs were only able to win 1 game. Now, he also reportedly played a key role in luring free agent Klay Thompson over to Dallas earlier this month, and Klay Thompson had spent his entire career with Golden State up until this point. Now, regarding the broken hand, this was, now that it's found out that he had a broken hand, I think this was probably the reason why Team USA didn't really consider, acquiring Kyrie Irving to, the starting lineup or the lineup in general. And a lot of people were really, really upset, myself included, that Kyrie Irving wasn't even, considered for making the national team. And it didn't make any sense to me at first, because it was like, Kyrie, he had history with playing with Team USA, and there was a lot of success coming from the history that Kyrie had with Team USA. So the fact that he wasn't even, considered to be selected for the team was kind of baffling to me, at least. But now that, the injury report came out and he is actually, suffered a broken hand, and now he underwent surgery to recover that broken hand, it makes a little bit of sense why, he was unavailable for Team USA. Now, what does this mean for the Mavs and their season? Well, they might have to deal with Kyrie not being available for training camp in, the beginning of the season. But aside from that, I don't really think it's something that they should lose sleep over, because really, Kyrie is just, another ball handler there for Luka Doncic when Luka Doncic doesn't want to have the ball. Like, that's sort of the offense that they run. They run a very isolation-heavy offense, and that was one of the things that the Boston Celtics were able to exploit in the postseason. Because if you were able to stop one of them, even a little bit, then you stop their entire flow and their entire offense. Because again, it's really difficult to stop Kyrie. I'm not saying that it's easy, but if you stop one of them, and it just makes it a lot easier for your team to manage, because there's never been a team in the history of basketball that has won off of straight isolation. Like, a lot of teams have tried. A lot of teams have failed. 2018 Houston Rockets, they tried it with James Harden and Chris Paul running a lot of isolations. That didn't end up working because James Harden ended up missing a lot. The Brooklyn Nets with Kyrie, James Harden, and Kevin Durant, they didn't get far even with their isolation lineup due to injuries, but also because they shot very poorly. I remember in Game 2, the final year where Kevin Durant and Kyrie made the postseason, they got swept by the Boston Celtics, and a large part of that was because in Game 2 they had a huge lead, and they blew that lead because they were missing every single shot. Then what other teams tried isolation? And then we have the Dallas Mavericks that tried, isolating majority of the time, and the majority of the time that isolation just didn't work in the finals. What was working in the rest of the season and in the majority of the postseason didn't work when the lights shine the brightest. And speaking of the lights shining brighter, it seems that Team USA is finally responding. Now they're up by 9 points as opposed to actually being a close game. So now it seems like, Team USA is actually putting their foot on the gas. Derek White is actually playing now. So, seeing the baldy in action it's beautiful. I love players that have bald heads. It's so funny because, I feel like I have this speculation that whenever a player in basketball, whenever they go bald, it's like they have ascended from their previous state. I don't know what it is, but it's like, it seems like every single time a player goes bald, they just get better. You look at Kareem. Kareem had a huge afro when he was on the Bucks, but then when he got bald and was on the Lakers, he won a majority of his championships there. Kobe Bryant, when he was, obviously, he was Froby as well, but when he got rid of his hair, he became the Black Mamba. And, obviously, you can make the argument that he was always the Black Mamba, but he really became a killer when he shaved his hair. Michael Jordan, one of the prime examples of a bald man ascending and transcending the rest of the league. Like, when he had hair, he was still pretty good, but when most people recognize him for him being bald. So I went on a little tangent of bald heads, but it's a funny thing. And with Derek White, the minute he got rid of his hair, he just transcended. He just played so much better. I don't know what it is. Like, he became a 20-point per game scorer when he shaved his head. I don't know what it is. Maybe, I don't know why, but that just happens. So, LeBron, go bald. But aside from that, they're playing some really sloppy basketball right now, I might add. Okay, but Team USA, they're playing great defense. There's 1 minute left in this game. And, they're up by, 10 plus points, which is, fantastic. But let me know in the comments what you think of Kyrie's surgery. Like, do you guys think that this will hinder the Mavs in their season? Or do you guys think that this was also the reason why Anthony Davis has 4 blocks, by the way? Do you think that this is the reason why he wasn't selected for Team USA? Or do you think it was some other reason, like, maybe just the United States or even Nike just not wanting Kyrie Irving to be participant in Team USA? Now, I say Nike because Jaylen Brown recently tweeted out that, Nike had something to do with the selection of Derek White as opposed to Jaylen Brown, because there isn't really that much of a good relationship between Jaylen Brown and Nike. And it's speculation, but obviously because of the tweet. So I'm not going to say that that's flat out the case, but let me know in the comments what you guys think. Now, Team USA is up 54-42 right now. That's what we like to see. They went on a 14-2 scoring run. It's beautiful. And guess what? This was all with Joel Embiid not in the starting lineup. So yeah, now we will go ahead and go into the third segment where I talk about whether or not the Clippers should trade Kawhi Leonard. And on top of that, give my halftime report on this game, because, there's less than a minute left in this game. And I'll just give a little bit of a rundown in the third segment right after this short break. Now, be sure to stay tuned.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
And we are back with the third segment of the GSMC Basketball Podcast, presented by the GSMC Sports Network. And in this third segment, the main segment is going to be whether or not the Clippers should trade Kawhi Leonard, but I'm also going to give my halftime reports and halftime opinions on this basketball game that's going on right now. Obviously, the Serbian team is getting cooked right now by Team USA as Bam Adebayo hits a three-pointer in the corner. Fantastic. But without further ado, let's go ahead and go into the third segment, talking about whether or not the Clippers should trade Kawhi. Now, I believe it was Kendrick Perkins, that made these comments on whether or not Kawhi should be traded. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. But, yes, it was Kendrick Perkins. Now, he said, quote, "If I'm the Clippers, I would consider trading Kawhi Leonard right now because they're just stuck in the middle." Like, that was, his opinions, and that's what he thinks. And so, according to this article, Kawhi has struggled. Now, the big reason why they think that they should trade Kawhi Leonard, or why he thinks they should trade Kawhi Leonard, is because he's struggled with his health throughout the majority of his time with the Clippers, right? Now, throughout his tenure with the Clippers, according to this article, he recently was sent home from Team USA's training camp as he continues to deal with persistent knee problem. Kawhi Leonard signed a 3-year, $152 million contract extension toward the end of last season. Now, during a recent appearance on ESPN's NBA Today, Kendrick Perkins had a lot of things to say. "I think Steve Ballmer, he needs to have an evaluation. You have Ty Lue, you just signed him to a contract extension. He's there for the long haul. They need to go into a rebuild mode. If I were the Clippers, I would consider trading Kawhi Leonard. They're stuck in the middle. Kawhi Leonard has set them back 10 years. If I'm the Clippers, I feel like I should consider trading Kawhi and rebuilding." Now, what he means by setting the Clippers back 10 years is that when Kawhi Leonard was when Kawhi Leonard was in conversation to join the Clippers, the big reason why he wanted to join was because he wanted to team up with Paul George. And he said that, like, if you don't get Paul George, then I'm not going. But, if you get Paul George, then it was guaranteed that he was going to go to the Clippers. So the Clippers essentially had to trade everything. Like, they traded 1 million draft picks. They traded Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and several other players. And I say 1 million draft picks, but in reality, it was like, I believe maybe 7 or something like that. It was a lot of picks that they gave up just for Paul George, right? And this is considered the worst trade in the history of the NBA right now. Like, I can't think of a single trade that is worse than this one right now. Like, the absolute worst, because they've only made it to the conference finals once, and the one time they did it was without Kawhi Leonard, right? Every single other year, they've done nothing but disappoint. They've disappointed in the postseason. They disappointed in the regular season. It happens every single time. It's the Clippers. Clippers gonna clip. That's what they do. And recently, they let Paul George walk in free agency. So they essentially traded all of their draft capital for nothing. And it's all because Kawhi wanted Paul George on the team. That's why he said that, he set them back. And, the injuries, they don't really help him much either, right? Now, obviously, when Kawhi Leonard is healthy, he is arguably one of the best basketball players on the planet. But when has he been healthy? Like, for the postseason? It's very rare that you see Kawhi Leonard healthy for the postseason, which is one of the big problems and one of the biggest reasons why the Clippers haven't made it so far in the postseason, because he's always hurt. So, the idea is to trade Kawhi Leonard right now so that way, he still has enough value. And obviously, being injured, it doesn't really help things. But since he has the value, you can actually gain some of the draft capital that you lost by trading Paul George and, continue to go through this little rebuilding phase if they want to. Now, one of the, something that's pretty funny, I saw an Instagram post that was saying that Kawhi Leonard should be traded, and Russell Westbrook actually liked that photo. I don't know why he liked it, but it's kind of funny to think that Russell Westbrook liked an image where suggesting that Kawhi Leonard should be traded. It's pretty funny. Now, the article continues. Ballmer has done everything he can to uplift the Clippers organization. They move into the Intuit Dome for the upcoming campaign. As such, they can fully stop sharing an arena with the Lakers. Clippers fans would undoubtedly like the opening years of their tenure in Inglewood to be competitive. However, if the smart move is to begin tearing the roster down and rebuilding from the ground up, the front office must explore that avenue. So, let me know in the comments what you guys think. Do you think that Kawhi Leonard should be traded? Do you think that he should stay on the roster? Do you think that, since they do still have James Harden on the roster, do you think they could be a formidable duo now that Paul George isn't on the team and, James Harden can have more touches with the ball? And do you think Russ is going to get traded, despite the fact that he did pick up his player option? But that's essentially the talk about Kawhi Leonard and what's going on with the Clippers right there. But aside from that, we might as well go ahead and talk about this game that's currently in halftime, right? So I'm just going to give my little halftime opinions on the recent game that's going on between Serbia and the United States. So the United States is a little bit lucky that Nikola Jokic, he's not really playing that well. Like, he was 5 for 15 from the field and was really, really struggling against Team USA. Part of that is because of Anthony Davis and his defense and the 4 blocks that Anthony Davis has had. It's a block party out there for AD. And really, the team, while what it was once a close game, turned out to be a blowout for, or at least it's turning into a blowout right now, because the score is, let me just go ahead and look at the live stats. Yeah, it's 59-45. United States, Serbia, and Team USA is finally playing the proper basketball that we all know they play. And guess what? Joel Embiid wasn't playing a majority of those minutes. It's almost like Joel Embiid makes the team worse. But aside from that, I really don't like Joel Embiid. I don't like his play style. I don't want him in the starting lineup, please. Because, Anthony Davis is playing far better than him. He's just playing so much better than Joel Embiid has ever even played for Team USA. It's baffling. And the player of the game right now, or at least the player of the half, is Steph Curry. He's 6 for 9 from the field, and he's 4 for 6 from 3. He has the most points with 18 right now, and, this is the reason why they have the greatest shooter of all time on the roster, to make shots like this, to hit important shots like this, and, to continue hooping like this. This is why a lot of people didn't really like that Steph Curry was in the lineup for whatever reason, in the starting lineup, because, defense and things like that. But I personally think this is, a perfect addition to the starting lineup. This is why he's on the lineup. This is why he's on the team. And this is why you need, 3-point shooters like this, because they can turn the tide of the game so quickly. Before you even blink, you could be down by, let's say, maybe 6 or 7 points, and before you even blink, just 2 3-pointers from this man, and boom, the game is close. It is fantastic, in my opinion, right? Now, obviously, the biggest problem that I've had with this team is Joel Embiid, but another problem that this team has and is suffering from is their turnovers. The turnovers that they've had recently, in these games, it's like they've gotten a lot of turnovers, and I don't know what their turnover count is right now. I'm actually gonna go ahead and check. Yeah, they have 6 turnovers in total in this game, and it's really hurting the team, just the fact that they have so many turnovers and they're getting so many turnovers in these games. But this halftime, they finally decided to wake up, and it was a close game at the beginning, but they ended up pulling away with this lead, partly because Nikola Jokic hasn't really been playing that well in this game, and the other part because, Joel Embiid wasn't in the lineup. Like, I cannot stress that enough, just how incompetent Joel Embiid looks on Team USA. I don't know what it is, but it's like the Monstars literally just swooped in, grabbed his powers, and ran away with it. I don't know why. It's been horrible. He's been horrible. I'm not sugarcoating it, and I don't mean to talk down on him, but like I said, I don't like sugarcoating things. Like, he's played really bad. The way that he plays is not helping Team USA at all. I hope after this game he's benched, and I hope Anthony Davis is in the starting lineup and stays in the starting lineup regardless of what roster changes and what roster comes at Team USA in this lineup. Like, it's really, really bad. Like, and you guys might think that I'm like, being a little biased, but literally, I watched the clip. I watched Joel Embiid try to go up for a layup, and instead of, trying to score, he did this. Literally just did this, and the ref didn't call it. Surprise, surprise. The stuff that he does in the NBA doesn't work in FIBA. Get him out of the lineup. Get him out of the starting lineup. Period. Done. But, aside from that, we're going to go ahead and go into the 4th segment where I talk a little bit about, the basketball news that's going on in the world and free agent signings, some summer league stuff. I recently watched, the summer league game, and, halftime seems to be almost ending. So, depending on when the third quarter starts, I'll even give some more, updates on the game and things like that. If you guys want to, they're currently doing a bunch of trampoline jumps, but, I'll be right back after this 3rd segment, or right after this break. Be sure to stay tuned for the 4th segment.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
And we are back with the 4th segment of the GSMC Basketball Podcast, presented by the GSMC Sports Network. And in this 4th segment, I'm going to be talking about some basketball news, free agency news, summer league news, things like that, as well as continue to give opinions on, this game that's going on with the United States and Serbia. One of the things that I should point out is that the bench points differential between USA and Serbia is staggering. United States bench has 30 points compared to Serbia's bench, who has 9 points. And that's really like the key difference maker for this lineup. And one of the reasons why Team USA's lineups in the history are so formidable, it's the fact that they have such a competent bench. So, aside from that, because, it's still in halftime right now, we can actually, focus on some basketball news. Now, one of the recent free agent signings, Gary Trent, he finally decided to sign with a team. He signed with the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, if you remember to a previous podcast that I did, he previously didn't want to join, I believe it was the Lakers, not the Lakers actually, or there was some team, it probably was the Lakers now that I think about it. He didn't want to join them off of a minimum deal. Like, he did not want to make the minimum amount of money. But it turns out that that's exactly the contract that he ended up signing. He ended up signing a minimum deal with the Milwaukee Bucks. So it's a 1-year contract, and that's what the agents told Woj or ESPN. and Woj, basically. Now, Trent, he's 25 years old. He spent the last 3.5 seasons with the Raptors, but before that, he spent the first 2.5 with the Trailblazers, during which time he was teammates with Damian Lillard. Now he rejoins Damian Lillard on the Milwaukee Bucks. Trent was arguably the best free agent remaining on the market before cap space dried up around the league. He turned down a multi-year deal with the Raptors that would have had him being paid around $15 million annually, but he was seeking $18.6 million in the 2023-24 salary, right? Unfortunately, that didn't end up happening, and now he's signing on a minimum deal with the Bucks, and that's really, his agent is really bad. Well, not really his agent is really bad, but that's a little bit unwise for him, because again, he could have been making way more money had he stuck with the team, if that's what he was going for. If he was going for money, right, then he would have taken the money right when he had it. But, now he's signing with, a much smaller contract than what it is. And it's really, it's really unfortunate for him. And I'm just going to go ahead and try and get the contract details, because for some reason they will not give me any the details. Now, again, it is a 1-year minimum contract, but again, I have no idea just how much money that is. Now, could someone please tell me where the money is? It's not popping up, but it is a minimum contract, so he's making way less than what he should have been making if he were to stay on the team. So just a bad move for him in general. But let me know what you guys think, if this is a great move, coming in from the Bucks perspective, because if you remember, they recently let Malik Beasley go to the Detroit Pistons, right? And one of the biggest reasons that Malik Beasley was so valuable was his three-point shooting. So now they got another guard that can shoot the three, and they essentially, replace Malik Beasley and decide to pay him way less than Malik Beasley, right? Now, I think this is a great move for the Bucks in the sense that they're saving money, and they're also getting a valuable player in return, and they're replacing a player that they, really needed for this season. Now, in some summer league news, I don't really like doing this, but I'm going to have to, because this is the biggest trend that's going on in the summer league. Alexander Sarr. Now, he was the second overall pick for the Washington Wizards. He went 0 for 15 in the summer league. That is god awful. 0 for 15 in the summer league. He was really, really bad. That is horrible. People were comparing him to Bronny. There were comments literally on the internet that was just how do I say this? Oh, wow, he's doing his best Bronny impression, right? That is incredibly disrespectful. But, aside from that, he didn't play well. He was 0 for 15 from the field, 0 for 7 from 3, and 0 for 2 from the free throw line. This really, this draft class has been in the talking as being one of the worst draft classes in the NBA, in NBA history. I didn't want to believe it. I wanted to be rather optimistic, but this game right here is not helping that cause. It's really not helping, counter that argument, right? It's horrible, but I digress. Now, I do want to point out this is the Summer League, right? So anything can change. Summer League doesn't determine how well a player plays in the league. And oh, look at that. Joel Embiid's at the free throw line. Now he's definitely going to score some points. Yay! But aside from that, this is a really bad performance, and definitely one of the performances that's probably going to get pushed under the rug, or at least, when the NBA season starts. Because again, anything can happen in the NBA season. Anything can, and playing in the Summer League doesn't determine any sort of style of play or how you're going to play when you're playing with the big boys, right? All of that is subject to change, but I definitely wanted to just bring it up because, that was a major talking point for a lot of the Summer League performances, because it's a lot of people were bringing that to everyone's attention, especially considering how Bronny wasn't really playing that well in the Summer League either. Some other basketball news that's been going on: Lindsey Harding joins the Lakers coaching staff. Now, I just recently figured this out, so I don't really have a graphic on. I apologize for that. But she becomes the first official, I believe the first official, woman head coach, right? Like a female coach in the NBA, like for the Lakers, I believe. This is the first time that the Lakers have hired a female coach, right? And she had a 10-year professional career in the WNBA, playing for the Mystics, and that's her most popular time. She was also the head coach for the Sacramento Kings G League team, and she ended up winning Coach of the Year for that league, which, again, is very impressive. She also was able to move the Kings G League team up to the number 1 seed, which, again, is just all that more impressive. So she does have a resume in this league, right? And, do I think this is a great addition? Now, obviously, having a bunch of amateur coaches, like, to the NBA, it's a little bit shady, in my opinion, right? Like, because I have no idea how they're going to perform when they're playing with the big boys and how they're going to make the coaching adjustments. LeBron to the basket, yes, sir. And right now, the Team USA versus Serbia game, right now it's 66-45 USA. Finally, the United States are actually playing some basketball. LeBron got 7 points, beautiful, but obviously Steph Curry is leading this team and leading the game to victory. He's on the bench right, actually no, he's playing right now, but he has the most points on the team, and it's just, phenomenal basketball being played all around. And let's see. There's shots below the belt in the comments saying she ain't no Becky Hammond. Let's go Spurs. Now, you're probably right, but again, we have no idea, how this is going to pan out. Another thing that I just, I almost completely forgot to mention was, and this is for basketball news, it's Patrick Beverley. He recently signed a contract with a team in Israel, I believe it is. Yeah. And he's headed to Europe to play for the Hapoel Tel Aviv. Again, forgive me if I completely botch that team name. And Patrick Beverley, the reason why he decided to go play overseas was that they gave me everything I asked for. I couldn't refuse. And the reason why this is kind of relevant is because 5 years ago, he recently told Steph Curry, "You had the last 5 years. The next 5 years are mine." The next 5 years pass, and oops, he's out of the NBA. So just a little bit fun, just a little bit of funny things that went around in the NBA. And he's one of the more disliked players in the NBA. He's one of those players that you just hate to go up against, but you love when he's on your team. Because he's willing to do all of the dirty work, he's willing to do all of the defense, he's willing to do what other guards in the league don't want to do. And there's a lot of players find a lot of value for that, right? I wouldn't mind having Patrick Beverley on my team because, that would mean I'd have somebody on the team that's willing to, hawk a player on defense. LeBron on the break, and there's a foul. Okay. But yeah, that's essentially all the basketball news that's been going on in the NBA. And really, that's really all the news that I have to talk for you guys. So with that out of the way, we can go right ahead and go into this 5th segment, which is going to be about the WNBA. And a lot of the WNBA news that's going on right now, as well as, just talking about some of the things that's going on in this game. Team USA, they're actually playing USA basketball, so I'm not going to really touch on it that much because, it seems like United States are just going to blow these guys out again as Drew Holiday hits a wide open 3. So, aside from that, I'm going to go ahead and continue on with the final segment right after this short break, so be sure to stay tuned. And we are back with the fifth and the final segment of the GSMC Basketball Podcast, presented by the GSMC Sports Network. And again, I'm just turning right a little bit just to watch this game because I really like my USA basketball. And Jokic is really struggling tonight. But aside from that, I'm going to talk a little bit about, female basketball as Steph Curry gets stuffed by the rim, and just a little bit about some of the news that's going on in female basketball, the WNBA, because there is a lot to talk about. Well, there's a lot of things that's always to talk about in basketball right now, especially around this time. Thankfully that, women's basketball is gaining a lot more traction. And with women's basketball gaining a lot more traction, I should bring attention to, some of the other players. Now, most of the time when I talk about the WNBA, it's usually about Caitlin Clark because I am a huge fan of Caitlin Clark. And she is a phenomenal player. I think she is going to revolutionize the entire WNBA and just everything about it, especially like when she gets to play up against Juju Watkins, who is another player that I think is going to revolutionize the league. But I'm not going to be talking about her because I already talked about her previously yesterday. If you're interested in what I had to say about her and, some of her being on pace to breaking another WNBA record, you can go ahead and watch that other segment that I did yesterday. But now I'm going to focus on A'ja Wilson, who is arguably the best player in the entire WNBA. And previously, when TJ's a sports podcast show host, so I recommend going and watching him. He does all sorts of sports, not just basketball. He does football, he does hockey, he does golf, he does whatever in the world he wants. And he recently, he made a comment saying that he believes that if there was any WNBA player that could be successful in the NBA, it would be A'ja Wilson. Now, her numbers in just the month of July, she averaged 27 points, 13 rebounds, 4 blocks on 50, 40, 90 shooting. She shot 54% from the field, 41% from 3, and 93% from the free throw line. No player in WNBA history has ever averaged 25 points per game or more on 50, 40, 90 shooting for a month. That's never happened before in the history of the WNBA. And in case you guys are wondering how this would be translated to the NBA, this is essentially 36 points per game, 16 rebounds, and 4.8 blocks if she was playing under the NBA's 48 minutes. Because the WNBA, for some reason, they play a lot way fewer minutes than NBA players play. I don't understand why, but that's just how it is. And those are the numbers if they were adjusted to 48 minutes. Those numbers are straight up Victor Wembanyama numbers that people swear that Victor Wembanyama, when he becomes a vet in the NBA, he is going to average those kind of numbers because that's realistic. Realistically, we could see Victor Wembanyama averaging 36 points. We can see him getting 16 rebounds, and we can see him getting almost 5 blocks per game because he is so ridiculously tall. And he is so ridiculously talented. That is how crazy this female is playing basketball right now. And she's arguably going to win the MVP again. She has the best odds to win back-to-back MVPs. And there's really no reason for her not to win the MVP when you're putting up those kind of numbers. Again, these numbers are just, off of the month, just off of the month of July. But aside from that, that's just ridiculous. That is crazy impressive, these kinds of numbers. It doesn't matter what kind of league you're playing in. Averaging 20 plus and then averaging 25 plus to be more exact, and then averaging 10 plus rebounds along with 4 blocks and shooting as efficiently as you are is nothing short of impressive. That is just crazy. That is crazy numbers. And another thing that, what's it called? Let me go ahead and look up the numbers. There we go. Another thing that's been going on around the WNBA, another record-breaking performance, I guess you could say, is Sabrina Ionescu. She recently scored 30 points as the Liberty beat the Connecticut Sun. Now, she posted her 7th career 30-point, 5-rebound, 5-assist game. No, 7th, right? I did say 7th, right? That's her 7th 30-point, 5-rebound, 5-assist game. And this is That is the most in the WNBA since 2020. Like, no other player in the WNBA has ever been able to do that as many times as she's been able to do that. Now, obviously, as the league advances, I personally think that Caitlin Clark can easily do this. Like, when she becomes a vet and she becomes she gets like maybe 4, maybe even sooner than that. Maybe when she gets like 2, 3, or 5 years under her belt, she'll be able to do this. Like, way more times than Sabrina is able to do this. But I just want to bring attention to those 2 female ball players, because those females are fantastic at playing basketball. They're great options. Sabrina's arguably, like, it depends on where you rank her. She's arguably the first option on the team. Could argue she's the second option on the team. Really, it's like, it's really down to just opinions at that point. But, having Brenna Stewart on the team, and with her value and her impact that she brings to the team, it's really like, down to preference. As Devin Booker hits a 3-pointer. The score is 76-55 right now, with 3 minutes left in the third quarter. There's a whole other quarter left to be played. Remember, these quarters, they last only 10 minutes, so the court is shorter, and the court is smaller, and the game is shorter than usual NBA basketball. And on top of that, there's also fewer timeouts that these teams are allowed to have. And oh wow, nice pass. But yeah, that's sort of been like what's been going on with Team USA. They've just been dominating. Majority of the bench players are out here in this game right now, and thank the Lord that Joel Embiid isn't playing, as Bam hits a 3. There you go. Fantastic basketball. They're playing some great ball right now. Like, they're moving the ball really quickly. They're making the right reads. They're making the right pass. They've really toned down with the turnovers a little bit. Like, they don't really have as many turnovers in this game as they've had previous games. It seems like, the chemistry on these players is really starting to shine. And, that's really what a lot of people wanted to see from Team USA. Just these players hooping, these players playing great basketball, things like that. And I just really want to continue talking about this game, because these guys are playing some great ball, and Jokic is still in the lineup right now, but it doesn't really seem like they're doing much, especially when Anthony Davis is blocking a lot of shots and playing the defense. And thankfully, Joel Embiid isn't in the lineup at the moment. Again, I cannot stress enough how much I dislike Joel Embiid in that lineup. It is appalling. It makes the team worse, in my opinion, and he should be removed. Plain and simple. But that's basically all that I have to talk about, like, for the WNBA and the rest of, the news that's been going on around that league. Because, again, there's been a way more record-breaking performances. Like, the league is elevating. And I know I was, supposed to make a majority of the segment about the WNBA, but this game going on is just as important. Anthony Edwards gets a steal, and he dunks the ball. Fantastic work. Score is 83-57 right now. The third quarter is just about ending. There's 1 minute left. And really, that's all I have for you on this segment. Be sure to tune in to the actual game, and I'm going to watch the fourth quarter of this game because I really want to watch it. I love basketball, in case you guys haven't been able to tell. And that's all I really have for you on this segment. So thank you so much for tuning in to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so remember to subscribe to the show, leave a positive review. It really does make a difference. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. As usual, please remember to use the link in the description to get your comments recognized, or the link displayed below the ticker on every show segment. That is gsmcpodcast.net. Really helps the show, makes it much more interactive between myself and you guys. That is all I have for you today on this final segment. Be sure to tune into the game that's live right now if you really want to see USA just be, dominant and destroying the Serbian national team. But thank you so much for tuning in. I am your host, Nelson, and as always, take care. Be sure to tune in again at 12:30 tomorrow, where I actually give, my overall opinions on this game, because while I was talking about a lot of this game as it's happening live, there's still a whole other quarter to be played. So be sure to tune in tomorrow at 12:30, same time, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn.